Yo, what up everybody, this is RBT coming at you with my college football week 5 prediction video. I'm going to try to get this out of the way really fast because I'm running kind of late and I'm having a really bad day. I came home and before I made this video I was putting shocker in my pool and I was putting it around the pool and I went to go move one of the floats out of the way, and as I did that, as I was putting shocker in the pool, I got shocked by something in my hand. I do not know what it was. I don't know if it's a spider or a wasp. I don't know, but that got me really good, and that hurt really bad. And I don't know, it hurts. Started going numb. I was kind of worried, but it's starting to feel a little bit better now. But that's what I've done since I've got home. So I need to go ahead and get into this real fast. We'll start with the Thursday night matchup: Stanford at Washington. Washington's definitely let me down this year. I've been saying all off season that I thought Washington was going to upset LSU that one week. It was week 2, and no, it definitely did not do that. I think it was 42-3 final score. Stanford's definitely been a surprise this year. Josh Nunez has been taking over the reins of Andrew Luck pretty well this year. Stephon Taylor's been running the ball really great. Stanford's offensive line is always traditionally great, and they're just sticking with that tradition this year because their offensive line is really good. Their front 7 is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the Pac-12. So Stanford plays great defense just like LSU. So I know not many of you know this, but Washington's Husky Stadium is probably the loudest, maybe second, third, right up there with the loudest stadium in the country. So it will be tough for new quarterback Josh Nunez to play in this environment, but I just still think Stanford gets the win. I don't think it's as bad as the LSU game, but I do think Stanford wins. I say they win this game 27-17 over Washington. Friday night, Hawaii, BYU. BYU should have no problem. Hawaii's been not great at all since Colt Brennan left in 07, so BYU, their record doesn't really indicate how good they are. They're 2-2 right now, but they've played a tough schedule so far, and have 2 tough losses against Utah and Boise State. But they have a great defense, probably the best defense out of all the independents, probably on par with Notre Dame. So playing at home, they should have no problem with Hawaii. They should blow Hawaii out 35-10. There's not many big games this Saturday, but I'm going to go ahead and predict everyone that I can. Baylor at West Virginia. Baylor's still undefeated this year, but I'm still not sold on them. Their defense is not great at all, just like last year. Their offense is pretty well. Nick Florence definitely isn't on par with RG3. Nobody is, but he's taken over the reins and done pretty well. He threw for over 300 yards last game against Louisiana-Monroe. They outscored him 47-42, much like that TCU game last year. But this game put up a lot of points, and I do think West Virginia wins this game. Just because Geno Smith has been probably the most impressive player in the country so far. He definitely had his worst week of the season last week against Maryland. They only won by 10. He threw for I think it ended up 14-23. I may be wrong, but he didn't throw any picks. So I think he's still interceptionless in the season. But they should have no problem with Baylor. They should outscore Baylor probably by 2 touchdowns or more. I say West Virginia. With Dana Holgorsen's offense, wins this game 45-30 over Baylor. Indiana at Northwestern. Northwestern's been one of the most biggest surprises of the season so far. They beat 3 AQ teams already this year, and the whole conference of the Big Ten's beat one other than what Stanford's done. And Indiana, even though it's hard to kind of grasp, is one of the worst teams in all of the country, not just the Big Ten, in the whole entire country. And that's not what Indiana's football is about. I really hope they get back to how they were about 7 years ago, because the Big Ten's a much better conference with Indiana and their tradition being right up there. And it doesn't look good so far. It would have been really great if Indiana got Gunnar Kyle, quarterback that ended up going to Notre Dame, but he was committed to Indiana for a really long time, but he didn't, and he ended up going to LSU, and then he ended up enrolling at Notre Dame, so that was an interesting recruitment there. But Anyways, Northwestern should improve to 5-0 this game and be one of the 2 or 3 undefeated teams in the Big Ten. I think Ohio State and Minnesota are the 2 other teams that are still undefeated in the Big Ten. So I'll say Northwestern wins this game. Northwestern's offense isn't that great, but their defense has been what has driven them to success this year. So I say Northwestern wins this game 28 to 13 over Indiana. Penn State at Illinois. These two teams have been. Penn State has got 2 wins in a row, but I don't think they're going to be successful at all in Big Ten play. Illinois has been terrible, absolutely just terrible ever since Nathan Chilhouse went down. They got killed by Arizona State. They got absolutely demolished by Louisiana Tech last week, 52 to 24. That's unacceptable if you're a Big Ten team. Big Tens look so slow, so just not great at all so far. With that being against MAC teams and whatnot, they just look terrible. And I want to say something real fast because I had this one little boy who comments on all my videos and always talks about my picks because he's a Penn State fan and he's really annoying, and I bet you he's gonna end up commenting on this video too. What's his name? Andrew Kahn, I think. It's just annoying. I hope you get to see his comments because I'll go through this whole video talking about every single game, and I'll pick against Penn State, and then this guy will cry and say I don't know anything about football because I picked against Penn State when probably 90-some% of the country picked against Penn State. Yes, Penn State's proved me wrong the last 2 weeks, but Penn State's awful, and they're just terrible. And if you don't think otherwise, you are an actual idiot, Andrew Kahn. And with that said, these two teams are terrible. But with Illinois being at home, I will pick against Penn State for the 5th time this year, and maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I just don't think Penn State can hang with a Big Ten team. Yeah, they can beat a team like Temple, they can beat a team like Navy, but I don't think they can beat a Big Ten type team. So I say Illinois wins this game 20 to 17 over Penn State. Missouri at UCF. This is going to be an interesting game. Missouri coming off that demolishing given to them by South Carolina. UCF's a team that can be a sleeper and that can upset some teams. Brian Boyles is a really good quarterback. I've said this over and over again. He's probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in all of the non-BCS conferences because UCF has a lot of talent and nobody really notices them. They give Ohio State all the run for the money, and they're 2-1 right now with the only loss against Ohio State. They're coming off a bye week, so it might be kind of tough for Missouri, but I think Missouri does win this game. Might be closer than the experts think, but I do say Missouri wins this game 27-17. I say 34 to 20 over UCF. Minnesota at Iowa. Iowa's coming off that sad loss against sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, where was I? Iowa's coming off that sad loss against who was it? Central Michigan. Everything went wrong for them. They're down to their second or third, fourth string running back in Wiseman. Even though he's really talented, we don't have a passing game. You don't have a good defense. That's not going to bring you far. When you have one good player on offense, you're not going to win that many football games. Minnesota's been probably the surprise of the Big Ten. I know they're undefeated, but so is Northwestern. But nobody really expected Minnesota to be undefeated at that point. They have wins over UNLV, New Hampshire, Western Michigan, and Syracuse. With Syracuse definitely being the biggest W on their schedule so far. But I mean, when you have a team that can begin to believe that they can win, even though if it's 2-point wins against teams like UNLV in triple overtime, I mean, 4 wins is 4 wins, and Minnesota hasn't been 4-0 in a really long time. So I think their coach has them ready to believe that they can actually be a successful program. So I'm giving Minnesota the W just for that fact, and I say Minnesota wins this game. Low scoring game, 24, really close, 24 to 21. Minnesota. Iowa, sorry. Iowa always plays teams close, no matter who they are playing. If it's against a FCS team, a mid-major, a Big Ten team, SEC team, they always play them close. So I say Minnesota 24-21. NC State at Miami. Miami played that insane game last week against Georgia Tech, But I think North Carolina State, I've said at the beginning of the year, and they did kind of prove me wrong in the first game against Tennessee. I predicted them to beat Tennessee because I still think they have the best secondary in the ACC, probably top 10 in the country. I said top best secondary in the country, but they kind of did not live up to my expectations. But I still do think Miami's just not that good of a team at all. Playing at home, I think NC State, Mike Glennon wins this game, 31 to 21 over Miami. Arkansas at Texas A&M. Arkansas, absolutely in disarray. The program doesn't know where it's headed. Kyle Wilson's wishing he was in the NFL, and they're not going to beat Texas A&M at Texas A&M, one of the most insane environments in college football. Texas A&M should have no problem with Arkansas unless they just all of a sudden start clicking on all cylinders, and I don't think that's going to happen. Texas A&M should win this game, high scoring game. I say Texas A&M wins this game 38 to 21 over Arkansas. Duke at Wake Forest. Wake Forest, I was kind of high on them, but they've definitely proved me wrong. They give up 37 points to Army, and they're just Tanner Price is not leading the offense to any type of execution like I thought they were at the beginning of the season. Because Michael, if you have never seen Michael Campanera play their slot wide receiver, they're probably the best wide receiver on Wake Forest. He reminds me a lot of Wes Welker. And I thought them two, with Tanner Price being good and Michael Campanera being a Wes Welker type receiver, they'd be able to connect a lot more. And they've definitely not done that. But either way, it's Duke. So I say Wake Forest should win this game. They play teams close, kind of like I said Iowa does. So I say Wake Forest wins this game 24 to 21 over Duke. Need to speed this up a little bit. Tennessee at Georgia. Georgia's impressed me by far. Well, been one of the most impressive teams in SEC so far. I said that about Tennessee, but after their close win against Akron and then their loss against Florida, they're pretty much back to the old Tennessee that they used to be. Tyler Bray is he's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but there's just something there that's not leading them to success. And if they come back next year, I'll be glad to say I'll say Tennessee. If all the good players for Tennessee, Justin Hunter, Tyler Bray, they all come back next year, I'll be confident saying Tennessee will be a top 15 in the country. But they're not there just yet. So I think Georgia, Aaron Murray should have no problem lighting up this Tennessee defense. I say Georgia should win this game 34 to 24 over Tennessee. Ohio State at Michigan State. I think the only game between ranked teams this week. So I'm gonna say Michigan State. Ohio State, they are undefeated, but they've not won impressively at all this season. They've struggled with UAB, they struggled with UCF, they struggled with Cal. They've struggled in every game really this year except the Miami Ohio win. They're running the ball right. Their defense is playing average. So I don't know. Michigan State's not been impressive either. But I think Le'Veon Bell makes too many plays. Once this game for Michigan State, Le'Veon Bell's been the most impressive running back in the country easily. I say Michigan State should win this game in a Big Ten type game. I say 20 to 14 over Ohio State. Clemson at Boston College. Boston College is not anywhere near on par with what they were in the Matt Ryan days. That's because they just can't find a quarterback. Their defense is always pretty good playing under Frank Spaziani, but until they find a quarterback, they're not going to go anywhere as a program. They have to find a quarterback, and ever since Matt Ryan's gone, they can't find a solid option at the QB position, and I don't know why. Because it seems like somebody would want to go there, but they can't run the ball, they can't pass the ball. Chris Reddick is not really the option right now, and when you don't have a really great quarterback, you don't have a good running game. That doesn't bode well. So Clemson should have no problem lighting up the scoreboard. I say they should win this game 37 to 17 over Boston College. upset of the week, Louisiana Tech over Virginia. I don't even know why. Virginia's just not impressive at all. I don't believe in Michael Rocco, their quarterback. They don't have any playmakers. The defense is soft. They can't create turnovers. And Louisiana Tech absolutely demolished Illinois last week. Louisiana Tech right now is 3-0, so look out for them for being a BCS buster. It really could happen, maybe. They beat Houston, beat Rice, beat Illinois by, 30? 28 points. We'd know more about Louisiana Tech if they'd have played that first game against Texas A&M, but it got postponed. But I do take Louisiana Tech in this game. I say it'll be a close one. I say Louisiana Tech 34, Virginia 31. Virginia Tech, Cincinnati. This will be a fun game to watch. Virginia Tech's traditionally always struggled with mid competition, always made them look better than they are. But when they go out and play against a better team, they always are on par with that team. So it works. The best of both worlds for Virginia Tech. Cincinnati, they're a good program, they're a good team, but I don't think they have the type of athletes Virginia Tech does. I think Logan Thomas should have a great game against Cincinnati and lead them to victory, even though the game being in Nippert Stadium. So Virginia Tech should win this game. Virginia Tech never scores many points, honestly, unless it's against the FCS team. Against a team like Bowling Green, they only scored 37 points, and that's how it always is for Virginia Tech. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. They play too conservative, but I say they win this game 27-20 over Cincinnati. Florida State at South Florida. I have a buddy that plays for South Florida, but that doesn't change the fact that I think Florida State's going to absolutely blow them out. South Florida had me believing in that game against Rutgers, and they ended up losing, and ever since then, they got beat by Ball State last week, and the week before they played Rutgers, they had to pull out a insane comeback led by B.J. Daniels to beat Nevada. But Florida State, their defense is not nearly as good as advertised, but their offense is better than I believe. So that kind of makes up for it. So they should have no problem going into Raymond James Stadium and beating the Bulls of South Florida. B.J. Daniels, I say throws 3 picks in this game, and Florida State rolls to victory 45-21 over South Florida. South Carolina at Kentucky. Kentucky is by far the worst team in the SEC. South Carolina. It'll be fun to watch South Carolina and Georgia whenever they play. But South Carolina should blow out Kentucky 42-7. Any more? Ow! God, that sting hurts really bad. Just a few more games. Texas at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's missing Brandon Weeden, missing Justin Blackman, missing all their threats. They I don't know what to think about Oklahoma State because they're leading the team in points scored, but their defense is absolutely atrocious. They lost to Arizona 59-38. If they want to win this game, Joseph Randall's going to have a great game, but I don't think he's going to do that great against a team like Texas. And Texas has a really good defense, don't get me wrong. So I think defense wins this game. David Ash is progressing as a quarterback better than I thought he would be. He has Texas at 12 in the country, so maybe Texas is a sleeper in the Big 12. And I say Texas does win this game. Defense is going to win this game 30 to really close, 30-27 over Oklahoma State. 3 more games. Oh no, 4. Let's go ahead and say all these. I'll say these kind of quick. Louisville at Southern Miss. This is on the CBS Sports Network. I don't know why. I think Louisville will blow out Southern Miss. Southern Miss got absolutely demolished by Western Kentucky. And don't get me wrong, I think Western Kentucky is going to battle out Louisiana-Monroe for the crown of the Sun Belt, but they shouldn't be beating up a team like Southern Miss, who has been quite consistent over the last few years. Probably winning 19 games a year, with that being in the CUSA conference. But Teddy Bridgewater is too much. He's a great quarterback. Louisville's so young, and they'll be even more dangerous next year. And I say Louisville should win this game by 30 points. I say 40-10 Louisville. Wisconsin at Nebraska. Wisconsin in absolute disarray, kind of like Arkansas to a point where they really struggled. Nebraska has that one loss against UCLA. We don't really know how great UCLA is yet. They played pretty poor opponents to this point, and Wisconsin's going to be their first test. But Wisconsin is, especially with the health of Monte Ball being questionable, I say Nebraska should win this game 27-20 over Wisconsin. Ole Miss at Alabama, this will be a beatdown. I'll be at this game. Alabama could score 80 on Ole Miss's defense if they wanted to. Texas scored 66 at the Grove. I don't see Alabama putting up that many points because they'll let off in the second half, but I don't think Ole Miss gets more than a field goal. I'll say 44-3 Alabama. 2 more games. Bet this is at 19 minutes. 21 minutes. Oh, dear God. Oregon State at Arizona. Oregon State, I thought was going to put up about 40 points in Oregon. They put up 0. So that has my belief in Arizona from way up here to all the way to the crap level and below it. They're definitely not near as good as I thought they were. Oregon State's been probably the biggest surprise in the Pac-12 so far, maybe on par with Stanford surprising USC, but I won't go there just yet. Oregon State will be a tough task for for Arizona. Arizona should score more points than UCLA or Wisconsin did because I don't know what happened to Arizona, but they're not as bad as that final score was. Sean Mannion is actually doing as good, being productive for Oregon State like he hasn't been last year and years past. Their running game's not at what they want it to be, but as long as they can control the ball, their defense is playing great. So I say Oregon State should win this game 24-21, close game. And last game, Oregon-Washington State. Oregon is going to score 50 points. I say Oregon wins this game 55-17. So that's been my Week 5 prediction video. I'll see you guys next week, and be sure to subscribe. And as always, roll Tide, go Sox, and go Titans. I'll see you later.